Welcome back into Delphine's Handcrafted. I'm Deborah.
I'm Jasmine.
And we are excited to do our MKAL 22, Westknits MKAL 22 last video. This will be the last one, right?
Sorry, yes. I forgot about the fact that I should speak out loud.
Okay. So we're going to just sort of briefly go over the first sections of the MKAL since our last video was very quiet for some reason. So we're not going to talk a long time about it, but we'll just briefly say our thoughts on the first, I guess, 1.5 sections, because the last time we did a video we hadn't finished Clue 2 yet. Correct?
I believe
yes. So we're going to go ahead with that. So this is actually my MKAL. You can't see it very well. It's not laying very well on me, but it was tied a minute ago. It is not. It is huge. They are huge. Jasmine's is huge too, but hers is actually smaller than mine. My gauge was big. I used a bigger needle at first. I shrunk down a needle and it was still bigger gauge than hers, right? So do you want to show your first section? It's going to be hard to show the first section without the bottom, but like I just won't show the bottom. This was my first section. Pretty much went
that's mine.
Yeah, from like here to here. And it had those chevrons with the braided part. And the first section we had to leave the loops at the bottom, correct?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to talk about the second section?
Was that the second section?
Mm-hmm. And this was this the second section?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Yeah. So the section, oh my goodness. The second section, English, Jasmine, was garter stitch and twisted rib, and then we had some cables.
And the second section was the first time we added the accent color, like the pop color, as Stephen calls it. Right?
Yep.
Do you want to show yours first, or?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so basically the second section attached to the first session, and it was section, and it was this, and we showed this last time. But what we didn't show...
We didn't have both sides done, I don't think, last time.
Yes. What we didn't show was the cables at the bottom. So the second section basically looked like this, attached to the first section.
There was also a thing where you could add I-cords to the cables, of which you didn't do it either.
No, we both chose not to.
I did not do that. She didn't do it at first because she was worried that she's going to run out of yarn.
Yes.
I don't really like doing I-cords, and also I wasn't sure I liked it enough to want to do the I-cords, so I just chose not to do it.
So that section...
my section 2?
Yeah. So that section, did you have any problems with that section?
No. You got a little thing. I didn't have any issues with it. So on the second half of it, it's in garter stitch, but on the second half, to make it like mirrored, you had to, he wanted you to purl all of the stitches instead of knitting all of the stitches, which some people edited that to make it so that you could knit it. I did not. I really should have, because I really don't like purling. But that's the only thing that I would that's the only thing that I would say I had a issue with, but it wasn't really an issue. It was just I don't like purling. So
yeah, and I didn't have an issue with that. I was afraid that it would be a different gauge, but I think mine came out about the same actually. And maybe it's because I'm a loose knitter anyhow, I don't know. Even though sometimes I'm a tight knitter, so I've decided I think it's the maybe size of the needle. I don't really know.
Oh, I don't know, but that was your first time doing cables?
Yes, it was my first time doing pretty much everything except for knit, purl, make a stitch. that then decrease, right? So pretty much the first time for everything for me, this entire process was a learning process.
It's your first knitted shawl as well, isn't it?
Yes. It's huge. It's the first huge knitted anything. I've made a hat and socks. Did I make a scarf? I made that on the knitting machine, so a hat and socks.
You didn't make it on a knitting. You made it on a loom.
Yeah, the loom. I made the little baby hat color work. Mm-hmm. But yes, this is like a huge project for somebody that really hasn't knitted. Now the cables were supposed to follow down the line here. As you can see, it's supposed to go from the accent color down to the center cable here. My first section did not match up. It matched up for what, 3 out of the 5, I guess, 4.
Mostly,
two out of the 4, and then the next one was way off, and the next one was really way off. He didn't explain till a little later that they should have matched. If you did it correctly, they matched. But I was actually watching another podcast this morning, and they were interviewing him, and they were talking about how if on the written pattern, it would be good if he put notes like that on the written pattern, that on stitch number whatever, you should be right here.
Yeah, because I didn't look at the video for that. The only thing I was really using the video for was to see where you were supposed to pick up stitches. And after he said where you're meant to pick up stitches, I just turned off the video because I am used to reading knitting patterns, so I didn't bother with it. So mine do line up, but
yeah, he would make comments. Don't worry if you're getting too many stitches or too little stitches. Just sort of skip a stitch in the I-cord as you're picking up or whatever. And I think that's what I did on the first half, because I was on track at first, but I think I realized I had probably too many I-cord stitches ahead of me, it seemed, and so I was skipping, and that moved my cables over. So if I hadn't done that, maybe it wouldn't have happened. The second side, everything matched. So I think that's what the problem was, and if I knew ahead of time, I probably would have not allowed that to happen. So it was a recommendation the podcaster, when they were interviewing him, made, that when he writes patterns and he is letting you, he lets you know things like that, like after so many stitches, this is where it should be aligning, when he wants something like that specific. So the third clue was took me a while, but it's interesting. All it was this long piece here of the green, not this part that you're seeing. That it's just this long piece of, well, mine's green. Hers is not green.
Mine's green.
More cables.
Mine's green.
It was like every other one cable there, right? And they twisted cables. They were twisted cable stitches.
Green.
Oh yeah, it's a different color green now.
Yeah, I mean it's like a blue green, but it has a lot of green. So let me see if you could. I don't know if you could see the detail or not, because I can't tell if the camera was actually, what's it called? Focusing. That's the word.
Yeah, I didn't like this at first.
I didn't like it.
But in the video, he showed how to do it without cable needles. And that I took off once I could figure out how to do it without cable needles. Much easier, because it was just driving me crazy flipping the cable needle.
Yeah,
it was just...
Which I had already learned how to do that because I've done cables before, so I already knew how to do that. So I was just doing that from the beginning, but my issue with this was I was dealing with like a wrist injury that decided to move up into my hand, like pain which I'm still dealing with, but it's getting better now that I am not doing this anymore. But that was really aggravating it, and it took me way longer than it could have.
And this one took me, I think I got it done a day early, but it would have not taken me nearly as long either, because I sort of got, I won't say lazy, but I needed a break. The first section really was a lot. It was a lot. And I think I remember it was like 32, 34 hours I put into that. So it just was a lot. And when I got to this, I was like, yeah, I can get this done in less than a week. So I just took some breaks and did it here and there.
Yeah.
But it turned out pretty well.
I was going, like, I went multiple days without touching it at all for that part because of my hand wrist thing, whatever it is.
So I thought it was really interesting because I think we weren't we probably knew what was going to happen the rest of the shawl, but everybody was like, what the heck is he doing? Because you had this center section and this outer section, then you just had these humongously long pieces. Yeah, mini scarves basically. And it was like, what is he going to do? We knew that he was going to have to bring it together somehow.
Yeah, which I did say that, which is exactly what happened, but I said that it's probably going to so this section 2, you were left with live stitches that you just put on hold, and I figured that you were probably just going to pick those stitches back up, and then each row pick up a stitch from the I-cord on the part 3, which ended up what happened.
At this point, we still have these loopy things hanging though at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then this humongous area that had nothing. It was just space.
Yeah, which I was getting concerned about the loopy things because I was like, I cannot have those just chilling there.
Yeah, it's like they'll be sewn down.
Gonna be
like
that's
this
gonna
is not happening. So, fourth clue, do you want to describe?
The fourth clue was just... it was only this, right?
Yeah. So the third clue was your
you're just adding a part.
Contrast color.
Yeah, you're adding a part below the first clue. So from like this like green down is the...
So that was the end of the fourth clue.
It was the fourth clue.
This was the fourth clue too.
No, it wasn't. Mm-hmm. Was it?
Yeah. This was the beginning, and then it ended with that.
Why did you say yes when I said this was the...
Well, it is the fourth. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, the fourth clue also had this part. No, are we sure?
Yes, I am absolutely sure.
Okay, that just seems odd.
But I will eat my words if I'm wrong, but I am absolutely
You're right,
sure.
You're right, because clue 3, I was like, we were both confused about why this was only clue 3. That was like a very little knitting. Mm-hmm. But this is clue 4, and then this bit down here is clue 4.
Yeah, so on clue 4 at the bottom, so my clue 4 on this side looks, sorry, am I using the right side? Yes. Like this. It got a little wrinkled, I think, when I put it in the drawer. And then my bottom... I don't know.
Maybe...
like that.
You're holding...
I can't see see the camera.
Hold it centered, Mom.
Okay. So it's this part down here. You had this option of stopping after this color.
Which I didn't like.
I was going to do that if I was worried about my yarn. I really was worried about running out of yarn because whenever I used that larger needle, I used an exorbitant amount of extra yarn compared to Jasmine. And I was really concerned. And honestly, it didn't look like there was any way I was doing... My brain was telling me how to fill this spot in. It was going to take way too much yarn. But the way he did it, I ended up with, I'm just going to say total with the 3 colors I had, I think 98 grams. 98 grams.
That's what I got.
Yeah, almost enough to make socks, or about enough to make socks.
I always go with grams.
That's what I ended up. So it really wasn't that bad. There is no way I could have knitted the whole thing with the bigger needle. I don't believe. I think I would have definitely run out of yarn. I'm pretty sure I would have run out of yarn if I had stayed with the bigger needle. When I blocked it, it did not do much.
It was really...
Oh, mine did it too.
I know.
When I blocked it, like, I don't see much difference in anything, like, really.
Your stitches look more even whenever it... But, my... that's why so we did finish this we finished this actually a day early, technically, but we took a few days to actually wash and block them. So
Yeah, I'm stitching.
yeah,
That will drive me nuts.
that's what I said. Yours
So
is
basically
definitely worse
there's like
than mine.
holes, and it's probably because I had a bigger needle. There's basically holes, if you can see this, beside the braiding. And he tells you not to worry about it because when you do the braiding it will be hidden, but some of mine are bigger than others, and it's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to probably literally
Sew it.
baste it, yes, against it.
Yeah.
It will drive me nuts.
So
knowing that.
mine's like that as well. It before I washed it and then blocked it, it wasn't doing it, but whenever I blocked it, it kind of tightened up some of those braids. So like mine has the holes in it as well, if you can see that. Which
So this thing, I'm not going to be able to show the whole thing. It's very, very, very long.
yeah, and it looks mine more than yours, but whenever you lay it out flat, it just looks like a bat.
So we're going to enter a picture on the screen.
This is mine.
Pretty. Yes.
Uh,
I like them both in different ways. Like, I definitely like the end result.
it's definitely not my normal
No.
pattern, but
When you look at pictures of people wearing them, they look pretty cool depending on how somebody's wearing them. So nothing just shows one section so it doesn't look odd. If you just like the combination looks really cool, I think. On most of them.
I think personally that I look a bit ridiculous because I'm very short. So I'm short, but I have a long torso. Like my torso is longer than my legs. But this thing is like pretty much the same height, I guess, of my torso.
Mm-hmm.
So it covers me entirely, and I feel like it needs to be just a hair shorter.
So I'm not. I'm average size. We just overcompensate with Jasmine in a higher chair. She always looks taller in these videos.
I'm actually not in a higher chair, am I?
This sinks down more. So
I'm taller than some of my friends that are like 8 inches taller than me. I am taller than when sitting.
from waist up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Sorry, that's not really important. I just find it interesting.
So we will definitely put a picture of our shawls. My picture didn't turn out very well, but we're going to enter it on here. Right.
Yep. I did want to mention how much yarn I had left though, because I find it interesting. As I continue to unlock and lock. So I had 82 grams left of the orange, which is the contrast color. Then my main color I had 66 grams left of, which is the brown, and then the accent color I had 50 grams left of, which is the green.
So she had left in one color about the amount that I had left in the entire thing.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I think they were pretty comparable to what our starting grams were. I'm not sure.
Wait, you started though, probably because of you were using a larger needle at first, but on this section too, she started her main her second main color skein on the first side, and
oh yeah, like 2 sections in.
I didn't start my second color skeins for any of them until the 4th section, like clue 4.
Yes. So I think we both enjoyed this. Couldn't stand this.
Yes,
driven
there
crazy
were
by
definitely
this.
sections where I was like hating it.
Yes, amazed by this. Many different emotions happening.
My favorite part was probably still the cables, not the twisted rib cable things, but the normal cables on this part, which doesn't show very well. And
my favorite part was this part.
You're showing the back.
Well, this part.
Your favorite part was the back.
I think I liked it because, what's this called? This was twisted
rib.
Rib, yeah. And then just when you felt like it was still going on forever, the short rows would get smaller and smaller, and you could feel like yay, I'm getting to the end of a section before I start a new one again. So that was helpful, motivating.
I enjoyed all of the different kind of variations in the brown, though.
Mm-hmm.
There's some oranges in it, and some tans, and some dark browns. See, we've got all the pretty different colors.
Yeah, it's pretty. So we hope that you enjoyed our MKAL experience. If you have any questions for us on our MKAL experience, please put them below. If you have any questions that will help to motivate you or help you to decide against maybe doing the next MKAL with Steven, please put those below too, because you have somebody that's been knitting for a year and has pretty much done quite a bit. Not everything, obviously, but she's been busy knitting lots of different types of things. So compared to a person that's barely knit anything at all, and our experience from both ends of it. So if you have any questions, please put them below and hit the little thumbie to say that you've enjoyed our content if you did, and subscribe to us if you haven't, to look for future videos, because we do our podcasts, and we're going to be doing another knit along fairly soon here, so we'll be sharing that experience too. So please put your comments below, and everybody have an amazing, amazing week. Bye.
Bye.